Welcome to Pink Kink,
where we are ready to guide you through the wild and wonderful world of kink.
I'm Princess Rara.
And I'm Dara, the Electro Khaleesi.
Whether you are a baby kinkster, a seasoned pro, or just here for the entertainment, Pink Kink will help you level up your kink knowledge.
Join us as we share our own wild, sometimes awkward, but always entertaining experiences and spill the tea from our combined 30 plus years in the private and professional kink worlds.
So grab your favorite flogger or wand.
Thank you.
And buckle up. You'll learn, you'll laugh, and who knows, you might just spit out your coffee.
Let's get this kinky party started.
Want more Pink Kink in your life? Join our Patreon and get ready for a whole lot of kinky fun and exclusive perks.
As a patron, you'll unlock access to our private Discord server where you can connect with fellow kinksters and chat directly with us. You'll also score adorable Pink Kink stickers and enjoy a monthly behind-the-scenes podcast packed with juicy tidbits we don't share anywhere else. Plus, get sweet discounts at our Etsy shop, Pink Kink Boutique, and on our online classes at Pink Kink Institute.
But wait, there's more.
More?
Our impactful and electrifying Pink Kinksters get extras, such as bonus content and free digital downloads. Oh, and let's not forget, the Pink Standard of patrons will be recognized as producers on both the podcast and on our website, because we couldn't do this without you.
Pink Kink runs on the love and support of our amazing patrons, so join the party today. Visit us at patreon.com/pinkkinkpodcast or click on the link on pinkkinkpodcast.com.
Today's episode is produced by our electrifying Pink Kinksters. Thank you, Jay, Witcherman, Brianna Lynn, Daddy J, Fabe, William P., Claire, Lady Blooding, Naughty and Nice, Butte Pain, Manda Panda, Cat, Stefan, Shadow Phoenix, Christopher, Brian, May Cry Devil, Ruby Riot, Enchanted Sparrow, The Wombat, Impact Hazard, Twitch, The Midnight Girl, Sinful, J21, Daisy If You Do, AK Harley Chick, Serenity, Belle, Eric, Lady Affliction, Pumpkin Pie, Ms. Tourmaline,
S'more, Hacksaw, Wee Mad Beastie, To Be Better For Me, 3 a.m. Thoughts, Crash Override, Iro, Kinky Bear, Sviper No Swiping, Barbie, Navigator Bard, Frost, Coffee and Chaos, Mr. Pillsbury, Peaches, Mighty Owl, Lady and Lex, Chaos Monster, Jessa Lady, DJ Harlow, Ophelia, Drew, Birchbeard, Lady to Kitten, Cydia Lemon, Noir, The Psy Guy, Freddie Queen, Princess Ree, Words Come Slowly, Submissive, Elysium Rose. Welcome back to another episode of Pink Kink, where we challenge your perceptions and completely go off the rails at any given moment.
Oh, yes, and I have another episode to do all of that.
Oh, fabulous.
Because you know how one of my many things is empowerment?
That is your favorite word for the last several years, yes?
Yes, and it's definitely my word for 2025 is empowerment. And one of the things that I personally like to see is that submissives feel that empowerment, that it's not a matter of just doing what they're told to.
Especially ones with ODD.
Yeah. Well, the word obedience, I don't like it in a BDSM context. It bothers me. And I know it's just a me thing. I know a lot of other people feel very differently. It's just a me thing. But to me, obedience, that's what I want for my dog.
Yeah.
Right?
I'd like that too.
And right now, especially given what's happening in our world today, this idea of just being obedient.
It gives tradwife.
I don't like it. I just don't like it. And I accept it's a me issue. I do. I know a lot of people. I mean, I'm in a lot of different Discord servers and I see things like people going, you know, I just want to be obedient or that I want a submissive is obedient. Anyway, so we're going to operate under this assumption that obedience is fine and it's one thing, but submissives need so much more than just doing what they're told to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
You need the why behind it, or else why the fuck would I do it?
And for me, it's not even the why behind it. You need more in what I call the submissive's toolbox.
Yeah. Okay.
Than just being obedient. Now, I'm not talking about a literal toolbox, though a really adorable pink bedazzled toolbox with some toys in it would be really cute.
Absolutely, it would.
But I'm talking about in your toolbox should be skills.
We should get you a caboodle.
Oh my God, it's been years since I've had a caboodle.
I think I still have a couple in my mom's closet, or my closet at my mom's house, or something like that.
The toolbox is basically a metaphor for the skills that you need, the strategies and resources that will help you make your role more effective and be more fulfilling for you personally. Because as a submissive, it's not that you're just there for your dominant, right? Because if you're not being fulfilled, if you're not content, if you're not getting what you need, you're not going to work. Stay in this role and enjoy yourself.
It's going to become a chore. It's going to become not a regret, but like resentfulness will end up creeping in.
Right. So just like an actual literal toolbox, what you want in there are the tools to build something sturdy, to create a strong, long-lasting dynamic. You want practical tools like communication skills for expressing your needs, time management, organization skills to help you balance tasks and responsibilities, scene prep and service-oriented skills that are going to help support your dynamic. You're going to look for emotional tools, resilience to be able to handle challenges or mistakes. Because if you're anything like me, we hate making mistakes. You want a self-awareness to understand triggers and limits and identify growth areas. You're going to want empathy to connect and support your dominant. There's also mindset tools, adaptability for when things don't go as planned, creativity to personalize the submission so that it's perfect for you, and just a growth mindset to help you keep learning and improving and growing. And all of this really matters because these tools are going to empower submissives to be proactive and resourceful. And I personally feel that it's going to strengthen trust, deepen connection, and really make your submission more meaningful for both you and your partner. So in this episode, we're going to talk about how you can fill and use your toolbox and give you some tips for building practical and emotional skills that are going to help enhance your dynamic.
We haven't really gone off the rails yet. I was kind of expecting us to.
I'm so sorry.
I mean, I made that the whole shtick.
I'm sorry. I'm a woman on a mission, so it may be
I can
up
tell.
to you to go off the rails. But I'm empowerment.
I know. You're very powerful, Rara. We've established this.
Thank you. Thank you. That's all I needed the world to acknowledge.
The world or me?
Yes.
Either way.
Both.
She's like, I'll take it.
And you remember the other word for the year is and.
Oh my God, that is actually a pretty good word. Can we make that officially like empowerment and like what?
And
that is the and that sounds weird, but like that is weird though. You know, like that and would be our official word. It's like when what's the words for when the dictionaries pick like their word, like selfie was an official word of the year or something.
They update their dictionaries. Yeah, there's been a couple new ones that have been added that have been pretty wild. All right, so let's start with understanding the role of a submissive beyond just being obedient.
You're gonna have to clean that mic now.
Yeah, you're going to keep that mic on that side.
Yeah, that's my mic. I've cleaned it
officially, right? Some of the common stereotypes about submissives is that they are passive, that they're docile, or that they lack any agency, right? They just obey. And these assumptions are really harmful and limiting because then it takes somebody else who might be interested in being submissive in a different way, and it makes them feel like there's something wrong with them. It allows toxic dominance to take advantage of submissives, or at least try to, because they think that's what the expectation is. What I really want for submissives is to take on an active role, not be passive, but active, and contribute to the relationship harmony through that proactive, specifically participation. Submission should be a partnership. It is not a one-sided servitude. The point is the goal is a healthy dynamic. And both the dominant and the submissives should be working together with that common goal of a healthy dynamic. And again, the dynamic is about the two of you, not just one side. So let's sort of break down how the skills bridge the gap between intention and action when it comes down to the dynamic. First of all, you want to turn ideas of what you want your dynamic to look like into actual reality. So, for example, maybe as a submissive, you have an abstract goal of, I want to serve better.
That's pretty fucking, that's very broad.
Right? Well, what does that mean?
No idea.
You need to create concrete, actionable steps to help you make that a reality. You want to have skills that will develop, that will create reliability in following through on agreements and tasks and rituals. You want strong communication skills to help clarify intentions, avoid misunderstandings. Having a good, strong skill set will help foster your confidence in your ability to meet the expectations of your dominant, and maybe even reduce any hesitation in your proactive stance. You know, not always waiting around for your dominant to tell you what to do, but being confident in what's supposed to be happening, that you're able to proactively just do that.
Well, yeah.
You know, in the anticipating the needs.
I was just thinking about that. Yeah. So that's kind of like, instead of waiting for your dominant to say, I need more water, you notice and you go get the water.
Right. And anticipating those needs and then being able to follow through are going to need some practical tools like time management or organizational skills.
Two of Rara's favorite things in the entire world.
God, I get just...
She's verklempt now.
I'm verklempt over that, I know. Having a strong toolbox will also help you adapt to challenges, because let's face it, life doesn't always go the way we have it planned.
Nope. No, it does not.
And your ability to be resilient and to navigate these obstacles without derailing your intentions is important. Or things like, oh, I don't know, we're human, so we make mistakes. And if you're anything like me, when you make those mistakes, that just throws you for such a fucking loop. It's almost sometimes really hard to come back from that. You know, it might make you question, oh my God, I made this mistake. Am I really a good submissive? Or you spend so much time going over the mistake, you're like, you're stuck in it. And
it's a loop, yeah.
So you want to be able to handle that. Strengthening your creativity, having skills like problem solving or improvisation can help you find innovative ways to fulfill your intentions, even in an unexpected situation. And then, of course, anytime you're developing new skills, you're opening up additional ways to act on your intentions and expand your role and expand the contributions that you are putting forth toward the dynamic. Now, here's something just important to point out. No one-size-fits-all approach is going to work.
No.
You need to really sit down and look at your strengths and weaknesses, your dominance, wants and needs, and match your skill set to your unique relationship. And making sure that when you're building your toolbox, you are building it based upon your dynamics needs and your personal strengths. You know, like I tried to explain to somebody once, they had it in their head that the dominant is in charge of everything. And I pointed out an example of what happens if you have a submissive in a couple who actually happens to their day vanilla job as being an accountant. Wouldn't it make sense for that person to be in charge of the bank statements, the bills, and the taxes versus the dominant? And it's still very submissive of them to be in charge of that because it helps their dominant out.
Well, it's a task that the dominant has assigned them to take care of in that kind of anticipatory thing the way that we were talking about before. Like, all right, not little. All right, submissive. I would like you to do this for me. If you frame it like that.
Well, and guess what, folks? It's also okay for you to say when you're sitting down with your dominant, I would like to be in charge of the finances because I have this background, this is my skill set, this is my ability. So the dominant can still make the decision that yes, you are. But you are allowed to ask. This idea that you just wait till the dominant tells you is the biggest bunch of bullshit I've ever heard. Mm-hmm. So let's get into the meat of this, the practical skills. What are some of these tools that you should have? Number one, time management and organization. You are in a position, as we all are, where you're pretty much balancing your DS commitments with personal and professional life. So your ability to manage your time efficiently so that you are getting your tasks done, even if you have a demanding career. Or, I don't know, let's say for argument's sake, you have children
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there's responsibilities as the parent. So now you've got your work responsibilities, your parent responsibilities, and your responsibilities as a submissive. And how are you going to manage all of that? How are you going to juggle all of that so that, one, nobody feels like they're getting the short end of the stick? The boss feels that they're getting what they need from you. Your kids feel they're getting what they need from you, and your dom feels it. Some of the tools and tips that you can do are things like digital tools like Google Calendar, right? Where you can actually organize your scenes, your rituals, and your daily check-ins. I utilize my Google Calendar more than I even use a to-do list.
I know.
Yeah, because I sometimes accidentally put things in the calendar under Pink Kink instead of my personal. But even if it's something as simple as remembering I need to get gas on the way home from work, I will literally put that in my Google Calendar to remind me so that I don't, as I'm driving, start thinking about the other things I have to do and drive right past the gas station. And then I'm home and I'm like, oh shit, my gas light just came on. You can create daily or weekly submissive task checklists. And I think we might have one already in our Etsy shop, Pink Kink Boutique. But if we don't, we will by the time this episode airs, or at least within the week.
Pretty sure.
I'm pretty sure I was working on that, and I'm working on another workbook.
I'm pretty sure this is like a month out,
right?
Over a month out at this point.
Yeah. There's other apps like Obedience app where you can put in your tasks that you need to do every day, or your dom. If you sign up with your dominant, they can put the tasks in that you have to complete. And it's just there in writing, and it's easy enough to just check off, yes, it's been done. And just, by the way, guys, if you do sign up for Obedience app, there's both the free version and then there's the premium version. And if you want the premium version, don't forget to use code PINKKINK to get 20% off of that. I'm not going to go too much into commercial voice. Another tool, of course, is communication skills. There's clear and respectful communication is really critical to any relationship. But it gets a little trickier when you feel like, well, they're in charge, I'm the submissive. How can I clearly but respectfully express my needs and limits and concerns without somehow undermining the dynamic? And you can role play some of those tough conversations so you can practice the confidence. You want to learn nonverbal communication, like reading body language, tone, and subtle cues from your dominant, so that when you're talking to them, you can see that, maybe the direction I'm going it's not working for them. Their body language is definitely telling me I'm getting very close to a line. You can even use, I know this is a crazy thought, guys, but you can use a safe word during a conversation. Safe words are not just for scenes.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. They're for anything that you want to put them to.
You can also do things like have an agreement that you can use a certain safe word that indicates we're putting our dynamic to the side for a second. And we are having this conversation not as dom and sub,
but as partners.
But as partners. And all of that's okay. So that's really important. Read books on how to communicate if you're finding that that's an area that you need to work on a little bit more. I've heard from people a lot, things like, well, I want, but I'm afraid to ask my dom because they're the dom and I'm the submissive. It's like, you should never be afraid to ask your dominant for what you want and need. You should never be afraid to ask your dominant for clarification of something that they've said. You should never be afraid to say to your dom, that's not working out for me. Because this is why we recommend, let's say if you have a contract or rules around your dynamic that you want to, on a regular basis, review them and say, hey, this is working out for me. No, this isn't. We need to adjust this, or no, this just needs to go away. You also want service-oriented skills. So elevating everyday tasks like meal prep or cleaning or errands. You want to turn those mundane chores into acts of service because you can, like, right? You're cooking dinner for your dom. Can you make that part of your rituals?
Well, yeah.
Right?
I do.
And maybe there's a ritual where your dominant sits down and you always serve them the meal from the right side.
Oh, okay.
Right? Like there's ways you can turn it into a protocol where it's just beyond, hey, Bob, I've made dinner. Here it is. Where maybe you sit down for the week and you meal plan. and you talk to your dom, what kind of foods would you like this week? So that you're making sure that the meal planning you're doing is around their schedule, what they like, and then you could make it so much more than just, I'm cooking dinner. Maybe you could do scene preparation, where you're in charge of setting up the implements and the toys and arranging aftercare supplies or cleaning supplies, or preparing the space. You're in charge of after the scene. You're the one who cleans the toys up and puts them away.
Mm-hmm.
If you're somebody who does rope with your partner, learn how your dom likes their rope put away. Because I will tell you, anybody who uses rope is very particular about the ways that they like their rope stored. So maybe that's one of your responsibilities. And therefore, you are helping them, you are serving them, and you've just turned it into a skill set that will benefit the both of you. So there's proactivity and initiation. Sorry, let me redo that. Proactivity and initiative. You want to think ahead. You want to anticipate your dominant's needs or preferences. There are definitely people in this lifestyle who prefer a reactive service where you don't do anything until your dominant tells you. I think those are probably more the exception. Most people I know like anticipatory service. You know what I want before I even know I want it.
Yeah, no, I would say that most people could like that too. Yeah.
Right? And you do this by thinking ahead, by observing your dom. What do they like? Do they like their, let's say you see them making their coffee every morning and you've observed how they made their coffee. You could ask them, say, if you're unsure about it, being proactive where you make the coffee and just hand it to them and you're worried that they might be like, no, this is my job. You can ask them, sir, ma'am, princess, Khaleesi, whatever your honorific you're using. I would like to make as part of my protocol and rituals that I make your coffee every morning. I have studied how you do it. You put X amount of creamer, X amount of sugar, whatever, and I will be responsible for that. Or even if it's something as stupid and simple as like what my coffee sub, aka son, does, where before he goes to bed every night, he sets it up. He puts the coffee pot, the water in the coffee pot, he puts the fresh filter and the coffee grounds, and he turns the timer on. So that all I have to do when I wake up in the morning is pour my cup of coffee. And that the fact is, I love that's one less thing I have to worry about. Maybe you've got you want to work on some problem solving skills so that you can handle unexpected hiccups in the plans with grace. That doesn't necessarily mean you have to be as crazy as me and have 5 potential possible plans in case A, B, C, or D doesn't work out. But you still want to be able to have some backup plans and maybe develop some solutions collaboratively during or after scenes. If something goes wrong during the scene, don't just sit there and expect that your dominant is going to solve it all by themselves. Mm-hmm. All right. Let's talk now about emotional skills. And these are super important. Okay. Biggest number 1 is self-awareness. You need to know about you. You can't expect a dominant to take care of you and know what you want or need if you don't even know what you want or need. I know we often hear like that, and I read this all the time in romance novels, and I know a lot of people, they think this is what they want out of life. My dominant knows me better than I know myself. That's bull. I'm sorry. Nobody should know you better than you know you. They may think they know you better, but that's also based upon whatever you've allowed them to see. And let's face it, I don't know anybody who's ever allowed their partner to see 100% of themselves.
No, I don't think I would know anybody like that either. There's like, you always keep something back, even if it's the love of your life, You share different parts of you with different people.
Exactly. And sometimes you're hiding things because they're parts of you don't like. And they're parts of you that maybe you're ashamed of. And you don't want them to know that part of you. Right? Like, I will admit, I am a judgmental bitch. I am very self-aware of that. But I don't share my judgments with everybody. because that's not the nicest side of me.
Who do you share them with?
You get to hear a lot of that. I've got 2 friends that are my safe space to share that judgmental shit with. Right? But like, I don't, especially if it's a newer relationship, you don't necessarily want your partner to know about that judgmental, bitchy side of you.
Yeah, no. Just so you guys know, our routine when I first come to Rara's house to do the recordings and stuff is we sit on the couch and we bitch for a solid 30 minutes at minimum every single time.
Yeah. And we have to fill each other in on all the tea.
Which, by the way, this is on top of basically being in constant contact via text and Discord all week long.
Yeah. Sometimes I laugh. Sometimes I call Dar up and I'm like, look, no emergency. Nobody's dead. This was just too much to type.
Oh, yeah. No, that's when their tea is like really big. I'm like, what?
That's when it's burning hot.
I always answer the phone when Rara calls.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, fuck, who's dead?
It's either really, really good news
or really, really bad news
or hot as fuck tea.
I prefer the hot as fuck tea.
Yeah. I try that.
You should text me beforehand and go, tea.
Yeah, but that's the other thing. If I'm texting you versus Discord, it's because you got to know right now.
Yes.
If I Discord, it's like whenever you get to it, it's fine.
Yes.
We have a system. It's the funniest thing.
We have a system.
But again, that's actually part of that self-awareness. Like, Dara understands. She checks her text before she checks Discord.
Oh, constantly. Also because like where I work, the Discord thing is a little more difficult because let's face it, sometimes the shit that's in there is not appropriate.
Not vanilla.
Is not appropriate. So I sometimes don't look at Discord for several hours at a time while I'm at work. Unless I'm like, if I take my phone with me to the bathroom, then I'll check, But like if I'm in my space and oh my God, and I've got a trainee with me right now, so it's worse.
I have to be super careful.
I have 0 time to myself now. 0. Anytime, lunch, nothing.
Oh, goodness.
It's all with my trainee.
I'm so sorry.
Yep.
But so the number one emotional skill for yourself as a submissive is being self-aware. Who are you? Who the fuck are you? The strengths and the weaknesses, right? And we all have weaknesses. Sorry, folks. Nobody here is perfect. Some of us are closer, but nobody's perfect.
I was going to say, I know you're going to say something. I know.
Right. But a lot of that is because at 59 years of age, I've had a very long time to work on the areas that I want to work on. And the areas that I don't want to work on, I've accepted.
You just don't care anymore.
Right. But that's what I'm saying is you reach a point where you're like, yeah, this is who I am. I am a judgmental bitch. I'm smart enough to know when and where to share that judgment. And I'll keep it quiet the rest of the time.
And honestly, that's my favorite part about you. So why change
It's like that old Mae West thing. If you have nothing nice to say, come sit close to me.
Mm-hmm. That's you and me all over.
So use self-reflection to identify the areas of growth. There's the old journaling prompts. Things like, what skills do I bring to my dynamic? What do I want to improve? We have a beautiful digital download of, I think, is it 50 submissive journaling prompts to help you with this. Figure out your triggers. Own them, understand them. And triggers can be anything from, if you say a certain word, it sends me into a panic because I have PTSD and it reminds me of certain things. Trigger could be something like with Dar, when you tell her what to do and that triggers her to do the exact opposite.
I'm actually kind of proud of that sometimes, let's be honest.
I mean, I have triggers when people talk to me in a misogynistic way.
Oh, the mansplaining?
That triggers the inner bitch of me.
Oh.
It's not always mansplaining. There are misogynistic women, unfortunately.
I think so. What is it called when a misogynist woman mansplains? Is it mansplaining? Or
we just call them pick-me's.
Is that it?
Pick-me's, and the way they talk. So
I'm not like the other girls.
Yes, we know. And that's not a good thing. But that's beside the point.
No, you're a fucking cookie cutter.
Yes.
Stop it.
So you really want to understand those personal triggers and boundaries and share strategies with your dominant about how to avoid them or best how to handle them. I mean, again, because when we talk about triggers, we're not talking about just the ones, the PTSD ones. We're talking about like Dara's dominant, daddy, submissive.
She doesn't know.
Thank God he doesn't listen, right? But letting her partner know. We'll just call him partner.
Okay.
How's that? Saying to our partner, listen, Daddy, when you say things this way, my natural inclination is to do the opposite.
Yeah, he's just now getting this.
So let's figure out how you can tell me what you want to tell me, but in such a way that it doesn't automatically trigger me to do the opposite.
So, for example, now I have to go home and explain to him, just like I did with my mother all those years ago, I had to make a rule with my mother that she was not allowed to make any kind of criticism, critique, or any negative comment toward me within the first 15 minutes after I woke up.
I think that's a very valid.
You gotta wait. Let me actually wake up and be able to handle your bullshit before you start in on me.
Yeah.
I had to make that an actual rule.
How many of us have rules such as don't talk to me till I've had at least a couple sips of coffee? They make coffee mugs that specifically tell you on the cup, don't talk to me.
I have one.
See?
It's glass and it's
got the
writing
lines,
and it's got the lines
right?
and it says, do not speak to me. Almost there, little bit more. Okay, you're good.
Yeah.
That is my favorite mug in the whole world. But now I have to go home and tell Daddy, when you first come home and notice all the things that I did wrong in the house before I left this morning and you weren't home, that's not the first thing that you should be saying to me. That's not. So like he texted me and said the front door was unlocked. Okay, was it closed? How about, oh, honey, thank you so much for doing the dishes. Oh, honey, I noticed there were no dishes in the sink. You mopped. I did so much shit. And what does he say? The door was unlocked. I understand it's a safety thing and that was his concern, but fucking A.
Well, here's the
I'm
thing.
in battle mode now.
Nobody was home, right?
Well, the dogs were.
But nobody was home.
Right.
Things can be replaced.
Yeah. We already had one
I'd be
break-in.
more concerned if the door was unlocked when people were in the house and therefore people could be hurt.
Well, yeah, but so we did have a break-in when we first moved. Like it was within the first 2 months, which was terrible. But the doors were locked. The person kicked in the basement door.
There you go.
So it wouldn't have, if they wanted to get in, they were going to get in. They did.
Let's talk about resilience and adaptability. Because this is one for me that's definitely an area of growth. Bouncing back from mistakes.
Yeah.
Viewing errors as opportunities for growth, not failures. And this is definitely a struggle for me. If I make a mistake because I didn't know, the old you only know what you know, then I'm okay. If it wasn't necessarily anything I did wrong, but I did what I did with the information I had, I'm accepting of that. But when I done fucked up, I am horrible to myself. I am so angry at myself. And I really shouldn't do that.
No, that's a mental health problem at that point when you do that.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's my childhood trauma in a nutshell, folks, trying to be perfectionist. And combine that with being a Virgo, it's a bad combination. Like Virgos are already perfectionists. And then I just take it to the nth degree because that's me. But we want to view those mistakes as opportunities for growth and not failures. Like I'm very good about that with relationships. That's what's really funny. And God knows I have a lot of relationships that fall under the mistakes. I'm very good about like not looking at those as failures, but going, okay, what have I learned and taken from this? How do I grow from this? And so I don't make the same mistake again. I don't know why I'm
from love.
I don't know why I'm so much better about that with relationships than I am with like the stupid shit.
Because by the time your relationship is over, you're aware of it. You've been aware of it for a while and you've been going, do I need to break up with this person? I probably should break up with this person. I'm going to hang on to it for a little bit longer. And then, yeah, no, I actually need to break up with this person. And then you break up with the person and you're like, yeah, I fucking knew it.
Pretty
like
much.
You've already accepted it by the time it happened.
Yeah, pretty much. I've gone through the period of mourning.
You're done. You mourned 6 months ago. You were just hanging on by the skin of your teeth. I know you,
because I don't like to fail.
Talk about well, okay. But then you get to the part where you're like, okay, this relationship is over, and then you go, I didn't fail. They failed.
Well, yeah.
See, talk about somebody who knows you better than you know yourself. I could write a book.
My failure was in picking them, but that's beside the point.
Do you remember the one that you went out with and everybody in the server was like, no, rah-rah?
Yeah, I remember him. I don't think it took more than a week after that before I went, what the fuck?
Yeah. And everybody was like, we couldn't say I told you so.
No, I don't do well with I told you so.
We couldn't say that. But we said, oh my goodness, rah-rah. We're so proud of you for realizing that and for.
But I haven't made that same mistake again, did I?
No, you have not.
I'm very good about finding new mistakes to make and not repeating myself. I will say that I very rarely make the same mistake twice. I just keep finding new ones to make.
Yes.
Yay me. You all. Now this is where I'm good at adapting to change, and the reason I'm good is because I have it already planned. But obviously, dynamic shifts because life shifts, right? You're dominant. Maybe somebody's got a new job and things change, or you've had to move and that causes things to change, or the people in your life, right? Their life has changed, which now impacts yours.
Well, yeah. I mean, because let's say you have a medical situation that suddenly happens in your dynamic. God forbid, what if the dominant partner becomes paralyzed and you suddenly have to take care of this person, or gets cancer and you have to suddenly take. So real life example of this, I don't know if they had a dynamic, probably not, but it was definitely the more traditional husband-wife relationship. This is my uncle and his wife. My uncle, I'm just going to come flat out and say it. Most of my uncles were straight up misogynists.
Mm-hmm.
Because, again, this is a horrible stereotype. I'm so sorry for saying this, but Hispanic. It sounds awful to say, but in my like you can see it. So it's a cultural thing, and it's also they're boomers. It's that whole shebang put together. You could see it. And the wife, the aunt that I'm talking about, my uncle's wife, fit that role perfectly. Absolutely was dedicated to that role. The homemaker, the raising the 4 children, the everything. And my uncle, unfortunately, got very bad Alzheimer's and deteriorated very, very quickly. My cousins were all set to have them come live with them. They set it up so that, they could have an extra room all to themselves so that my aunt could have extra person. But she took care of the kids. She did all that. But my uncle was the boss, and she was very, I'm going to have to just use the word submissive about it. She was very meek. She's a very meek person. And everybody in my family was very worried that she wouldn't be able to do this, to take care of him without massive amounts of assistance. God damn, that woman stepped up like nothing we've ever seen.
See, this is my marriage. I was in charge. I was the dominant one. He was the submissive one. And I got sick.
Which marriage? The second
Number
one?
2.
Okay.
And I got sick.
Yeah.
That's when all my kidney problems started. And I needed him to step up. And he couldn't.
And you know what? That's the thing. I'm not worried about that with me and Jay. I'm not worried at all. I know for a fact I am actually pretty fucking amazing in emergencies. I have proven this numerous times. There was somebody who had a seizure right in front of me, and I fucking baseball slid underneath them to protect their head. I counted the seconds. I was on it. I was on this shit. I've never seen somebody have a seizure before, but I was on it.
It's scary.
It's fucking terrifying. I didn't recognize the person because their face was so contorted. I knew them. It was horrifying. But after the fact is when I fall
apart after the fact.
Right. But I am not worried about this with me being, quote, submissive and Daddy J being, quote, dominant.
Yeah.
Both of us, we know that we're going to step up if something happens.
Right. Yeah. It's, and that doesn't mean the change always has to be that dramatic.
No.
Right. But even little things. What happens if you're dominant, their hours at work change?
Oh, like an overnight?
Right.
From a day to an overnight? Yeah.
And that's going to affect the dynamic and the roles and responsibilities. So be resilient and be adaptable.
Hell, even a new job changes everything.
Right. Let's talk empathy and emotional intelligence. Right. Understanding your dominant's emotional needs, making sure you're supporting their stress management or emotional well-being, and balancing empathy without compromising submission. And this is important. A lot of times we talk about the DS dynamics seem to be very one-sided, right? The submissive is serving the dominant and is taking care of the dominant if they're service up, the cooking, the cleaning, the laundry and all that. But we don't think about their emotional needs. And that's important because the same way that if a submissive's emotional needs aren't being taken care of, there are no headspace to submit. If a dominant's emotional needs aren't being taken care of, there are no place to dominate. right? I mean, like if your own life is falling apart and things around you are going to hell in a handbasket, how are you able to take care of somebody else?
You do not have the mental space outside of your own mind,
right?
To have anything. I mean, if it's like a kid, sure, but a relationship, I'm sorry, it usually takes the hit.
Yeah, it really does. You want to make sure that you're building emotional connections. Make sure you're sharing gratitude or affirmations that'll help deepen the trust and the intimacy. Look at tools like love languages to better meet each other's needs. I know some people are very anti-love language. I don't think it's the end all to be all, but I think it's a great starting place.
I mean, something, it's been disproven, but I also think it's a really good starting space. It's not the only love languages in existence. You can't just box yourself into one thing.
Well, like for instance, I like words of affirmation. That's one of my love languages.
It's literally a praise kink.
However, that doesn't mean you can just use any words of affirmation. Like you have to understand and know me. Like if you say to me, good girl, I'm going to tell you to fuck off.
Yeah.
I need it done a different way.
I'm actually acts of service. But the one service that I will do for Daddy J is making dinner. That's like my huge thing. If he ordered me to do laundry, there are several things wrong with this concept.
Starting with laundry.
And ending with order. It would not go well.
And then, of course, another important tool to have is self-care and stress management. Because if you are burnt out, you are not going to be able to take care of anybody. So you want to make sure that you are prioritizing rest for yourself. Maybe have some hobbies outside of the dynamic so that it's not all work and dynamic and that's it. You need to have some personal time. You need to know when to take breaks, maybe renegotiate the expectations with your dominant to say, look, I'm right now is a very stressful time at my job. So I need to have less stress at home type of thing.
I need to pause. You can say that. You can pause.
Totally pause.
It's no shame if you have to pause a dynamic. It really isn't.
On either side, by the way, guys.
Oh, yeah, no. We're not just talking about subs doing that. We're absolutely doms too.
Okay. Make sure that you are managing drop from scenes.
Oh, yeah, that can break somebody if you don't manage that very well.
And then perhaps even some mindfulness practices like deep breathing or grounding, exercising, visualization to stay present in the moment, meditation, whatever works for you. All right. So now that we've identified the tools, let's talk about all these the submissive toolbox in action. So we're going to start off with skill identification and development. So we're going to assess the current toolbox. What skills do you already have in your toolbox? And what do you need? And what is in there that you might need to improve and work on and grow? And it's okay to involve your dominant to set all those, because there may very well be skills that you think are good and your dominant is like, excuse me for a second, but I could use more of that from you.
Pardon?
Yeah.
Excuse me?
And in order to do all this, then you want to find resources, your local workshops or online classes or books or podcasts, a mentor, a friendship group, books and guides focused on communication and service and self-care, whatever resources you can find that will help you with the current toolbox that you have. Some real life examples of things that you can do, right? Creative rituals. A submissive who crafts a morning tea ritual for their dominant. So you, as I talked about, like, right? So we talked about with the coffee or with the feeding dinner and you're serving from the right side. Maybe there's an entire ritual that you put together for your dominant. So it's something that they already want.
You know who actually has a tea ritual?
Who?
Iro.
Oh, do they?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure, because I was talking about, I think I need to go drink some tea. And then Iro, I was messaging them and they said, okay, make sure that it's this, and then this if it's in a teacup, but it's this, and then this if it's in a mug. And I went, what the fuck?
Yeah. Our friends at Loving BDSM have some amazing coffee rituals, right? Like Kayla is in charge of JB's coffee every morning. She's even in charge when they go out to a restaurant and JB gets a cup of coffee at the restaurant. It is her job to doctor the coffee the way he likes it for him.
Did I tell you I may have some coffee subs at work?
I'm jealous.
I call them my baristas, but I train them on how I like my coffee because they always offer. They say, "Hey, can I make you some coffee?" And I'm like, sure. Well, how do you like your coffee? With this, and I have to have this kind of milk and it's this much milk. Well, and then they seriously said, "What color do you like your coffee to be after the creamer is in it?"
That's a good question. Yes.
I was like, straight up, that's amazing. And now some of my other coworkers are getting in on this and saying, would your baristas maybe make me some coffee too? I was like, sure, I'll send them over. And it's always right around the same time. And my trainee got in on it the other day too. So this is becoming a thing.
Oh, that's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. I have my boss is almost trained this way. Every time she runs to Starbucks, she asks me what I like.
Okay, see, that's a Pavlovian response in your boss's case, and she's also trying to keep you sweet so that you stay.
Well, and that's probably a good idea.
Yeah.
So I do love my boss, so it's all good.
But I love my new job. I have coffee subs at my new job.
Right? I mean, it's we need to think outside the standard rituals and come up with some more creative ones. There are things that you have to do anyway, like laundry. We keep harping on laundry because Dara hates laundry, right? So let's just assume, for argument's sake, Dara gets a laundry submissive because that would be her dream.
Somebody offered that.
Yeah, I would say yes, but that can become a ritual. Like, how does that go into place? And that it's beyond just doing.
So the only problem with me not actually accepting this person's offer to have them be my laundry sub is I'm not entirely sure what I can give back to them.
But that's not your place to decide that.
Yeah, I know. I'm just trying. I've been trying to think.
Because sometimes I just had this discussion in another server. It's if they've offered,
yeah,
then either they're going to get the pleasure from just doing it, and they don't need you to do anything else for it, or they might have something in mind. And you could say to them, well, how can I thank you for doing this?
Oh, that's a good line.
And then they can come up with, and then you can decide if what they want is something you're willing to give. But sometimes they really, and not being a service sub, I don't understand this concept, but I've been told that sometimes just doing it for somebody is the pleasure.
Yeah.
And that's all they need. It makes them feel helpful.
I will bring this up at our next Littles Munch. It's the person that I usually sit next to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, that's it. But you could create, let's just say for argument's sake that you guys decide to do this.
Yeah.
You can set up a ritual where they come and maybe they kneel at your feet and say, Khaleesi, I am here to do your laundry.
Bless me, Father, for I have... Wait, what?
Yeah. I'm here to do your laundry. And you can say, thank you. You may begin. Just some sort of very simple ritual to put everybody in the headspace, and yet you're still getting things done. And then it doesn't feel like a chore because it's part of the dynamic.
Yeah. And, I have specific clothes that I have to have not go in the dryer, Mm-hmm. I'm sure this person knows what not to put in the dryer, but yeah, they seem like a very efficient type of person when it comes to that.
You can also use your toolbox to support different dynamic goals, like assist your dominant with their personal goals or their professional goals. Maybe organize their workspace, and do not organize their workspace without permission.
Don't touch somebody's workspace without permission.
Because most of us have our workspace organized in such a way that we know where everything is. And even those people whose workspace doesn't look organized can usually tell you, I can find whatever you need me to find immediately.
And by workspace, we don't just mean office. When Daddy J moves something in my fucking kitchen and doesn't tell me where he put it, I blow a goddamn gasket.
Right, thank you. A place for everything.
Listen.
And put it back in that place so when I go for it next time,
I know where it is. I hate it when he does that.
God, my son empties the dishwasher and it's now a guessing game. Where did he put this stuff?
It's to the point where I don't want you to touch it. I'll put it away myself. He says, where does this go? I was like, well, we've been in this house for 7 years. You'd think you know where this goes, first of all. But second of all, I don't want you putting it away. Did I tell you what I found the other day? I don't know if this was him or if this was the cleaning lady or something, but I saw red. One of my pots was in a completely different cabinet, nestled inside my crock pot. What the fuck? It wasn't even in the right area of the kitchen.
My son dropped and broke one of my glass containers.
Oh, dear God. Well, you did too.
I did too, but it's okay. I'm allowed to drop my stuff.
That's true. I tell you, Rob, when I get this new kitchen, he is not going to be putting anything away.
You need labels.
I have this cutest vintage label maker ever. I'm going to utilize this. Yes. But I'm also going to do one of those things where I'm going to have, they're aftermarket, but you can get them from Amazon, where it's already labeled drawer organizers. Mm-hmm. I'm getting those.
You can also do like what I do with my son. Is his job is to empty the dishwasher, and then a lot of it goes in the drain board, and I put it away from the drain board, so we split up that way. But yeah, find out. Maybe your dominant's got a personal goal of running a 10K, mm-hmm. right? Help create the schedule that gets them to that goal.
Oh, that's a pretty good one.
Right?
I'm still stuck on the tea ritual. I just think that's really, really cute. Like, I don't know why, but tea is cute to me.
How about a hot chocolate ritual?
What would be in the hot chocolate? Like making it from scratch. How many marshmallows? If they're mini or regular,
right?
They have to be mini.
Put in some mint into it.
Ooh, a cinnamon stick to swirl it with.
I don't like cinnamon.
I love cinnamon.
Mint
would be good. There's enough mint growing in my goddamn backyard for my stupid ass fucking neighbor who let her mint grow wild.
Oh, free mint.
Now it's in my yard.
Then that's free mint.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna get it with a weed whacker.
Yep. Also, adapting to new challenges. Maybe your dynamic has now become long distance because of either travel schedules, or somebody has to temporarily move, or it's a sort of thing where maybe it's one of you's military, so you're stationed elsewhere, and you've got to be adaptable to that with video calls and voice memos and care packages and other such stuff.
I did care packages once for a friend who's a travel nurse.
Right.
That was good.
And I would encourage you to look at all this as a challenge to grow. Find other submissives in your community. And your community doesn't have to necessarily be in person, right? Your community could be your Discord server that you're on.
I was going to say, our Discord is the best community.
Right? There's Facebook groups. That's your community. And have a talk with the other submissives and work together to each help build. Because let's say there's one skill you want to build. I will guarantee there will probably be somebody else in that group who has that skill and can help you build it. So ultimately, what I want you to take away from this is that it is really your job and your right as a submissive to be empowered and do more than just obey. It should be an active skill. You should be constantly working on growing. I mean, you're never finished learning.
Nope, not at all.
And that you want to put together a strong toolbox that's got practical skills and emotional skills. Try to find one skill that you want to work on this particular week. And I'm going to start a new thing for online, because I'm trying to build up some online. I would love it if whatever skill you've identified that you're working on, post that on your internet pages, on your social media, with the hashtag submissive skills.
Or toolbox, submissive toolbox, because you put them in the toolbox, right?
Yeah, but I just put submissive skills that way, because people who maybe didn't hear this episode may not know to look for the word toolbox, but
also
submissive skills they'll find. And this will help people know what to look for and find out more information and research and all that. So, and I'll just leave you with this final thought. The most important tool that you can actually have in your toolbox is going to be a sense of humor.
Always.
Especially when IKEA instructions are involved.
You know stepdaddy's going to come after you for ripping on IKEA. Well, maybe not. I don't think they like IKEA either.
Okay, here's the important part. Are you the person who reads all the instructions through before you start building? Or are you the person who just builds as you read?
Both at the same time. I do a page at a time.
Then that's the person who builds as they read.
Okay. Yeah. builds as I mean, at least I follow the damn instructions and don't just try to wing it willy-nilly on my own. That would be a disaster.
Yeah. Thanks for hanging out with us today. If you enjoyed what you heard, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss a minute of our fun and educational content. New episodes drop every Friday.
If you love what we do and want to help us keep creating, support us on Patreon at patreon.com/pinkkinkpodcast. You can also support our affiliates to benefit small businesses and us at the same time.
No extra cash? No problem. You can still help by spreading the word about your favorite kinky podcast. Share us with your friends, and don't forget to rate and review us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen. Those 5-star reviews mean the world to us. And those 5-star reviews go a long way in boosting our podcast through the algorithm and reaching more listeners.
Sign up for our Pink Kink Institute classes. Shop at our Etsy shop, Pink Kink Boutique. Stay connected with us on social media. You'll find all the links on our link tree posted in the show notes.
Your support means the world to us. So until next time, stay pink
and level up your kink knowledge.